So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can get a full face of all of our panelists and just a brief introduction of them. So we have a graduate student panel today. We have Lena Lear, Maureen Beebe, Jasmine Blacks, so happy you're here, and Jessica Don. And they are all volunteering their time today, so we want to give a special thank you for all of them for just being here and sharing their knowledge and wisdom with us. And we will have a Q&A session towards the end, so please reserve your questions towards the end so they can all get through their stories individually. So we will first start off with any of the graduate students who want to start off first.
I can start.
Okay.
I guess I'm the newest to the grad program, so I'll just start it off. My name is Lena Lear. I know most of you. I was the president of NSN last year, which would have been my senior year in the undergrad. Like I said, I'm a first-year grad student. If you have trouble hearing me, let me know. I'm sorry. I'm outside, so I don't have to wear a mask. But I'm right on Decatur Street, so it can get kind of loud. So let me know if you can't hear me. But yeah, I am a first-year grad student. I did all my undergrad through Georgia State, and I think Jessica and Maureen and I all kind of had a non-traditional path. I think Jasmine was more of a traditional path, but I had a career prior to going back to school. I actually barely graduated from high school. I got a GED out of high school. I went straight to work, and I had no desire to go to college. And then I realized I really hated my job, and I really loved nutrition. And I was lucky enough that Georgia State was the only coordinated program in the state of Georgia, other than Rice University, also at this one. So that's how I ended up at Georgia State. I got my undergrad here with every intention of going to grad school, and thankfully I was able to get in. NSN was a huge part of my involvement in the school, and it's really awesome that so many of y'all are involved. You'll get to know so many people through this platform. There's a ton of professors that really care about this program. And I think that maybe I'm a little biased, but I have to say our nutrition professors are probably the best ones in the school. But I'm really excited for a lot of our undergrads, because I think they said this is our largest group starting the program in the history of the program. I think there's like 45 people. They have maxed out the program this year. I think there was only like 17 of us in our cohort. So the fact that we've grown that much is incredible. But I just kind of wanted to come and give y'all a couple pointers for if you plan on going into the grad program. My top 3 pointers would probably be get involved now, volunteer at Panther Pantry, reach out to anybody that you're interested in locally. We've got Open Hand, we've got now the Jessie Hill Market. It's huge. I don't know if they're doing undergrad volunteer, but it's something that you need to at least be aware of. Make sure that you're getting to know your professors. Your professors are going to be absolutely huge in your journey here at Georgia State and outside of Georgia State. We are very lucky in the fact that our professors are very diverse. They come from very different backgrounds. We have, exercise professionals. We have researchers. We have people that specialize in metabolism and obesity. We have professors that are very good at things like cancer research, and even we have plenty of RDs on staff that have worked in different dynamics of registered dietetics. So we're very lucky to know so many people in so many aspects of the nutrition community. And if you have interest in anything, reach out to a professor because they can help you. My second point would be get organized. If you do not have a organizational process by this point, you need to figure it out. It is going to be huge in your success within the program, and very much so in your success in grad school. Things will catch up to you very quickly. So whether it be I'm a paper person, I constantly carry my planner with me. It goes everywhere. I write everything in this. But I also know people love Google's Calendar. It's something that you can download on any device that you carry. It's really ideal. Google Pass is incredible as well. But kind of figure out your process, whatever that may be. Everybody's different, so maybe try a bunch of different things, and whatever sticks, stick to it. And third, I would say start your CV or your resume now. Start organizing your CV. Your CV is more comprehensive. It includes not only your work background, but also your schooling. Especially if you're a traditional student, you just came out of high school and you don't really have a lot of career experience. You want to make sure you're building your CV. You want to put everything in there, every volunteer opportunity, every time you, the fact that you're an NSN member or you're on an NSN board, you want all of that to be included. If you have a resume, make sure you're building that up. So if you're applying to the program, they require a CV. So you want to make sure that you are documenting everything. And if you need help, your professors, they've all got extensive CVs and resumes. So reach out to them. They can give you an idea of the best way to build it, the best way to kind of spin it to make it seem like you kind of did a little extra, even if, you know, we're all just trying to make ours look good. So make sure that you're doing that now. Keep track of it now. But that's pretty much what I would say. Get involved, get to know your professors, and make sure that you're keeping everything organized.
Thank you so much, Lena. We appreciate it. Hey, we can go on to our next panelist, whoever's ready.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. Oops. I don't know what's going on. All right, I'll go ahead and talk. So, my name's Jessica. I have the mask on because I'm sitting next to somebody. Got to be safe. Really great, comprehensive advice, Lena. You took one of my points too, which I'll get to in a little bit. But like she said, I had a non-traditional path. I graduated from Penn State in 2006 with a marketing degree. And then I worked for about 8, almost 10 years in a startup software company. So completely different area. I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel like I was helping people. I was just making money for other businesses. So I was just like, okay, fine. During that time, I actually picked up bodybuilding for a little while, and I started building up my social media, and people would ask me questions about nutrition and exercise. And exercise was easy, but I found that everybody needed help with nutrition, and so did I. And I was like, I am not comfortable, giving any advice to people without having more knowledge myself. So I started playing around with the idea of going back to school. And luckily, I had the support and the means to just drop my job and come back. So 2017 is when I started back with prereqs because I had a business degree. I didn't have any science under me. So I started coming back. I knew I wanted to come to Georgia State because, well, for the first thing, I'm not leaving Atlanta. And so it was I was thinking Georgia State, Emory, where do I want to go? And I picked State because the CP program looked amazing. The fact that I wouldn't have to, find my own internships was a big part of that. And I would get a master's degree, so that would be cool. Initially, I'd intended that once I got my master's, I would just start working as an RD. But once I started taking my A&P course, some of you might have taken it with Renee Peraza. I freaking loved it. I thought, okay, I want to get into research too. This is really freaking cool. He tried to talk me out of it. He's like, don't work in a lab. It's so weird and boring. And I'm like, no, man, I want to try it. So I went through the master's program. I knew that I wanted to get my PhD afterwards as well. So that first semester, I just jumped into a thesis with Dr. Farrison. And I think, yep, all of us in this panel are Farrison All-Stars. So just saying, pretty cool in here. Let's see what else. So went through the program. Like Lena said, you got to be organized when you go through it. I too have my planner that is always with me. And yeah, so once I got through it, I applied to the PhD program, got in. This is my first semester. I'm trying to stay alive. That's about it. Some advice, like Lena said, talk to your professors. They're really going to help you out. Not just in the nutrition program, but any of them that you feel like you could probably connect to or even at least try to, I would do it. there was a few questions. Michaela, I don't know if you want me to try and answer those now or wait to the end. You guys had some like potential questions.
It's completely up to you.
All right, cool. So one of them was how to be competitive. Just two things. One, talk to people. You got to try and network. It's also just good practice to do that. But also, it sounds, pretty silly, but work hard because people notice the effort. Unfortunately, working hard and people noticing means they give you more work to do, which can be good or bad. But that's how you're going to open up opportunities for yourself. So, it's going to be a lot to get through, but just do it and people will notice. How do you get involved with research? I mean, we have a pretty decent website on GSU where you can go and look at each of the professors and see what their interests are and what they're researching. So if something like speaks to you, just reach out to them. Or if you just want lab experience, just reach out to any of the professors, and I'm sure they're always looking for help. You can always volunteer in a lab or shadow for a day to see if that's something you're interested in. And one of the questions was, what can you do with a nutrition degree? So you don't have to be just an RD or just work in a lab. You can work, I did an internship at Coca-Cola, and there are dozens, there are literally dozens of us, RDs working in Coca-Cola from things like policy. So if you like to do government and legislation, stuff like that, they have a section there that they can do. I worked in scientific and regulatory affairs. So you're working with what you can put on the label and FDA regulations, but then also you're like the first line of defense at a company like that, where you're saying, we can't put this ingredient in because it'll kill people, stuff like that. So you have a really important job. You don't have to just work with people. You can work with products, research and development, that kind of thing too. I don't know. That's all I have to say. You have questions? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we can go on to our next panelist.
I can go.
Go for it, Jasmine.
Okay. I was like, I don't. Okay. Well, hey guys. My name's Jasmine Blacks. I'm originally from. Let me know if you guys can't hear me too. I'm like in a area trying to be away from people so I could take off my mask too. But I'm originally from Queens, New York. But I've lived in Woodstock, Georgia, where I've lived basically since moving from New York. I'm currently a master's student in the coordinated nutrition program. So, okay, cool. I'm currently a student in the currently a master's student in the coordinated nutrition program. And I basically have about a year left before I graduate. And I'm also a graduate research assistant in Dr. Harrison's lab, like Jessica mentioned. So basically for me, I've been at Georgia State for as long as I can remember, like a while. I started at State in 2014 to pursue my undergraduate degree. And when I first came to college, I thought that I wanted to become a forensic scientist. So I actually started out as a criminal justice major. And basically everyone told me that most of the time people change their major when they initially come in, but I was like, nope, I'm not changing it. I'm sticking to it. This is what I'm gonna do. So I was pretty set. But then when I met with my advisors, I realized with wanting to do forensic science, I needed to switch to more of a science major. So at this time, I did not have a strong science background at all. So they put me in a criminal justice class and then like a remedial chemistry course. And basically, long story short, I loved the chemistry, even though that was my first one ever. So I didn't do that well. And I did not like criminal justice. So basically, I ended up going to the Career Service Center and took like, I don't know if you guys have heard of like the Myers-Briggs and Strong Interest surveys, but I took those and dietetics was on there. Now, at this point, I'd never heard of this field before, but it caught my attention. So I ended up with some talking with my advisor, switching my major to nutrition science. So it was a really long road, but throughout that time, I went from getting like a D in Chem 1050 to every chemistry, anatomy, and bio course I took from there. I started getting all A's and B's. So if you need some tips, I can definitely help you on how to get to that point, if possible. And basically kind of figured out what worked for me. And from becoming stronger in science and all of that, I ended up graduating in May of 2019 from the nutrition science undergrad. I was the cohort right before Alina's. Basically, the minute I joined the undergrad program, like I knew I wanted to become a registered dietitian. So I was automatically planning to apply to the coordinated program. I spent a pretty good time on my application. Most of my last year in the program, and Renee was also my professor for anatomy and physiology one, so he was already kind of pushing for me to get on top of it pretty early. And basically in my last year, I was applying and working on it, and everyone thought I was crazy, but I thought that it would end up being worth it in the end. So yeah, I ended up being accepted. And then some more background about me, I also worked in the Office of Supplemental Instruction, the SI office. I don't know if you guys have had an encounter, but if you've ever taken a chemistry course, a bio course, any of those, there's SI leaders in those courses typically assigned. I started as an SI leader for chemistry 1151. And then I was kind of promoted each semester and then was able to hold the student level position of program assistant. So I was able to oversee SI leaders. And then I was also the vice president for the Nutrition Student Network about 2 years ago. So again, the year before Lena's. And basically the job in that position really helped me to grow a lot in my leadership, in my public speaking. And this past summer actually was my last semester with the SI office. So it's kind of like bittersweet, but at the same time, I'm really excited about all I'm gonna learn in the lab. So I'm like the newest one of the panel that's in the lab. So they're all amazing and have been helping me a lot to try to learn and become acclimated. So I'm definitely in those phases of trying to grow and figure out what works for me. And when I first joined the program, I was always interested in completing a thesis for my capstone. This is really intimidating, but I took the plunge and I'm really happy that I've made this choice. So just for me, I'm interested in going into clinical dietetics and then kind of trying to go from there and deciding if I want to further pursue a PhD or culinary school. Very different, but there's actually reasons that I'm interested in both. And then my overall goal is to have a brand and business in the field. So just some tips. I love giving tips and advice to anybody, but the main one I feel like is really believe in yourself and your personal capabilities. I promise, like, you will surprise yourself. That was the biggest thing for me. A lot of the opportunities that were offered to me, I was scared to take, but you don't want to shy away from an opportunity just because you feel like you're not qualified, because maybe in the beginning you might not be, but you want to get to the point that you are, because you want to get those qualities, you want to get those leadership opportunities. So in that time, like many of the things I said yes to, I wasn't able to see the impact it has on me now, but it's had that impact. So I would just say go for it. And when working on your application, if you do plan to apply to the grad program or any program, look at each portion of the application individually. This is something that helped me. Like GRE, I had its own section for personal statement resumes, and I tried to think of, okay, what in each of these areas can I do to make myself stand out? Like what makes me different from the rest of the applicants? Because typically, obviously, they want everyone to have like probably decent GRE scores and then a higher GPA, but you have the personal statement, you have the resume. This is what will make you different. What makes you stand out? And I feel like that's really important because the program does want a variety of individuals, of backgrounds, and also of interests of what you want to go into. And lastly, like, don't pick a path because it's easy. Like, pick it because you're willing to fight for it. I mean, that's all that I've been doing is fighting like every semester. It's hard, but it's all worth it. But yeah, that's kind of what I have for you guys.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. We can go to our final panelist, Marie.
All right. So my story starts out very traditional and turns into being I am currently a very non-traditional student. So I graduated with my bachelor's in dietetics in 2011. Sorry, 2011. And I was in a traditional dietetics program. I'm from Minnesota, and I applied for dietetic internships, went through the whole matching program, and ended up going to Oklahoma State, which had a combined master's in dietetic internship. So when I went there, I was thrown into the lab environment. I had a graduate assistantship doing animal studies, which is something I had no familiarity with, and really loved it. Loved the research, loved being like really challenged in that environment. And I really thrived in that program. But I wanted to be a dietitian, and that's what I was there for. So after completing my master's, I worked as a clinical dietitian for about 5 years. I worked primarily at a rehab facility that focused on individuals with post-spinal cord injuries and brain injuries, so very intense clinical dietetics. And I loved it. I loved the impact I had, but I missed the challenge of my master's program. There were, I think, 3 instances where I looked at going back to school to get a PhD. And each time I changed my mind, basically, because I didn't see how academia really fit with having a family and having a balanced family life. And I knew I wanted children and wanted that presence as a mom for them. And so I ended up choosing not to get a PhD 3 times, I think it was. In 2017, I guess, I had an opportunity to move here to Georgia to teach at Kennesaw State. And when I moved there, I was able to essentially get free education by working as faculty. And so I decided to look at coming back for a PhD. So that was in, I guess, 2018, I started the program here. That being said, at that point, I had 2 children. And so I was now starting a PhD program with at that point, I had a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old when I started the program here at Georgia State. So that is my biggest thing, is that when I think about where I was, 5 years ago, 2 years into after finishing my master's program, I never had people around me that showed this balance of academia and working hard and having a successful career and being a parent. And so that's what I try to be now, and be a voice, and that you can have both of these things and you can be successful in these things. And so now I am a 3rd-year PhD candidate in Dr. Ferrison's lab, and I constantly struggle with balancing all of my responsibilities, but I have great people around me that are very supportive, which is absolutely key to have in kind of this, thank you, Jessica, in this program, and really, I guess, in life. So my biggest, advice to you guys, everybody has had great advice, but one thing I always strive for is to not burn bridges and to be kind to people, and just, I guess, show them your best side, because in all of my changes in career path and going to different schools and things, I can still go back to these people and ask for references, ask for assistance in, getting into some program or having reference letters. I'm still working with people that I completed my master's with, working on writing papers. And that's because I've always left a good impression, and I've never left on a bad term. And people generally like people that are likable. And so I'm not the most outgoing person. I'm not great at networking, but people remember me for my kindness, I think, and my being pleasant. And so I think this is an asset that everyone should work to have, instead of being always tough and leaving on bad terms and things like that. So I guess that's my story. And I guess you guys are going to open it up for questions now. So if anybody has any questions.
Yes, so you're going to open it up for questions. But before we do that, I believe Emily's camera and microphone is finally working. So if you want to introduce herself, you can do that before we get into the Q&A.
Hi guys, sorry, I couldn't hear anything, so I didn't know when to introduce myself, but I'm Emily. I'm NSN. I just manage a social media account, so if there's anything you ever want posted, or there's any volunteer opportunities or anything you become aware of, just let me know, and I'd love to post it on our social media. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thanks, Emily. Okay, so now we're going to open the panelists to the questions that the members may have. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them now.
I actually had a question. I noticed that a lot of people going into the grad school program have experience in the lab or have worked with Ferrison and done lab work. Do you think that it's necessary to do that to go into the coordinated program, because I'm kind of have the same idea as Lena with I came to Georgia State with the clear intention of going to the CP program, but I don't have any lab experience.
I can speak on that because for me, I actually didn't join Dr. Ferrison's lab until I joined the grad program. So I didn't have really any research experience. I think it does help to distinguish you, but it's not a requirement. I think the biggest things they look for is, especially becoming a registered dietitian, is are you a strong leader and are you a strong student? So can you handle the workload they're going to give to you? And then are you going to be able to uphold becoming a leader in the field? And that's kind of like what I think of. So as long as like you're on the Nutrition Student Network, that's really good experience. That looks good. So getting those different opportunities and seeing what you can do that you can kind of fluff up on your resume, like Lena was mentioning, and kind of looking for more opportunities like that. Now, if you're interested in research, I would definitely go for it because I was encouraged to do it. My workload just couldn't handle it. But if your workload can't handle it, then don't like over stress, but see what else you can do to make yourself stand out.
All right, thank you so much.
Just to follow up on that, I agree with Jasmine, because I didn't join the lab until my second year as a CP student. But beforehand, during that time that I was doing my prerequisites, I was a tutor for A&P, I was an SI leader for A&P. So like Jasmine is saying, find opportunities where you can show yourself as a leader, and that helps you really stand out. So you're already doing it. Good job.
Thanks.
All right, we have a question from Sunshine. She says one of the things that was mentioned was to make connections with instructors. Is that something that should be done before you apply to the undergrad nutrition program?
Yeah, I was actually responding in the chat, but I guess it's easier this way. I would say it's never too early to get to know your professors, even if it's not a nutrition professor. As Jessica said, she was really close with her A&P professor. I would say that you always want people in your corner, no matter what direction you're going, because if you end up wanting to go into a different program or you end up deciding, maybe whatever you're deciding isn't for you, your professors have been there. They know what it's like to be in college. They know what it's like to struggle, and getting to know your professors and reaching out to them and letting them know that maybe the direction they took is really interesting to you, and ask them. A lot of times they really like to talk about how they got to where they're at. So I don't think that it's ever too early to get to know your professors, no matter what program that you're applying to.
Thank you, Lena. Do we have any more questions?
Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
All right, so I first started like I'm a freshman. I just started. Everything for me is very like I don't know much about it. All my classes are very general. Like I have one chemistry class. Um, and so I just like joining this organization, I feel like it's a way of me to kind of just know what it is about. You know, I know I'm interested in nutrition, but I don't know what routes I can take or stuff like that. But my question is, what would you guys like recommend me do right now? You know, there's COVID going on, so I don't know, should I volunteer? Should I research? Like, should I'm not like, I don't know. I just want some tips, I guess.
I guess I'll take a stab at it. Ooh, that's a hard one. When you have the whole entire world in front of you, what do you do? I guess right now, given that there is COVID, it's kind of hard to volunteer, but you can always reach out to people who are working in the field that you like. One of the things I did was I found a dietitian before I even applied to the prerequisite portions that I was doing. Her name was Rachel Brandeis. She graduated from the CP program, and I asked her if I could shadow her for a day or so, just to see what she was doing, and get to know what a registered dietitian actually does. And she let me do that. Now you probably can't go into the office, but I'm sure they would be more than happy to talk to you as well. And there's all different types of dietitians if that's the route you wanted to go to. Like Maureen said, she was in clinical, so working with different patient populations, but you also have people who are working in school nutrition. So if you like kids and you want to like work on programs for them, that's always a place. There, Cindy over in Marietta is amazing, and she's always willing to talk to students about what their interests are and their career path. But you can also go into, like I said earlier, you can go into Coca-Cola, if you like products, and that's something that I'm really interested in as well, is making things that people can consume that will have a benefit for them, either health or sports benefits. So kind of going that route. So I know that's a lot of different routes for you to explore, but I think one of the best things is just kind of like pulling up a couple names, reaching out to say, hello, this is my name, I'm a student and I'm interested. Most of the time they are willing to talk to you. People generally like to talk about themselves, so they'd be happy to. And if you want to reach out to me, I can put you into contact with a few different people. That's fine.
Dr. Wanders is really good for a lot of resources for volunteer work and stuff. If you shoot her an email, she'd be more than happy to reply with a lot of different opportunities that she has going on. She's always sending them out on her mailing list. And I was able to shadow a dietitian, and I just sent out emails at Northside Hospital. And I was just like, please, So, you just gotta shoot your shot.
And we're hoping, I'm sorry, those are my dogs and they're playing very intensely. We are hoping to have volunteer opportunities through NSN when COVID dies down that we can do like as groups. But I think, Justina, what's that website that's like Open Hands or?
So I've been meaning to send out an email. It's just a lot of places I have registered for groups and like individuals. So it's been hard trying to secure spots because I've been getting phone calls and emails telling me that places have been suspended for new volunteers and they're not accepting any. So it has been tricky to get spots this semester because Panther Pantry was also suspended to volunteers this past week or last week, I believe. So I am still in the process of trying to like gather more opportunities for everyone. And so I'm trying to do my best to send out an email later this week, trying to see if I can get more answers back from people, see if they'll allow students to come and volunteer. That is within like the nutrition field, within like the later part of the semester. So if you have any questions, I send out emails and I'm more than happy to respond with any questions or concerns. So.
Yeah, I wanted to add on for your question about kind of what to do and get involved in. I noticed that you mentioned that you're a freshman, so I know that it's kind of like you're just starting. So the nutrition science undergrad won't even, like the official program wouldn't even happen until like your junior year. So it kind of gives you time to, I guess, be able to figure out if this is the field you really want to go into. So I feel like getting those different experiences or being able to shadow, or I even YouTube some stuff. Like even if you can't shadow someone, just like one thing I did was before I applied to I think the nutrition science undergrad, I had a professor that was my world foods like professor, and turns out she was a dietitian and I didn't know what that was yet, but I met with her and I basically asked her kind of like some questions, kind of like an interview to learn about the field, learn about what she loves about it, what she didn't like about it, all this different stuff, because it allows you to get, I feel like you want an honest perspective because every field has its pros and cons and you don't want to just choose it because you just see all this good stuff for it. So being willing to know all the ins and outs for the field. And also, I know you're saying that you're interested in nutrition, but you're not entirely sure. So I really would encourage the Career Services Center. Like this helped me a lot because like I said, thought I wanted to do forensic science. I still think it's something that's really cool, but that test, the Myers-Briggs and the Strong Interest Surveys, it's free to students. It's not free to non-students. So you should take advantage of it. And Myers-Briggs is basically, it analyzes your personality type, and then Strong Interest analyzes your interests. And what they do is they combine your interests with your personality type and gives you all these different careers they think could best suit that. And it might help to be able to see those and then start looking at more of those to get more of an idea of if nutrition is the route that you think is best for you. So that's just some additional thoughts on that.
Yeah. And honestly, in the meantime, because being a freshman, it can be very overwhelming and you're not exactly sure what you want to do yet, maybe. Just in the meantime, above all, like focus on your grades. Like I am retaking anatomy right now to, in preparation for applying to grad school, making sure everything's pretty. So just in the meantime, just make sure your grades are good, A's and B's, so you don't have to retake them when you do figure it out, because it is totally overwhelming right now, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, I think one thing, that is affecting everyone. We're all just trying to feel it out. We're all trying to figure out what's going on. So don't think you're alone when you feel like things are completely just crazy. We all are feeling that way. We're all adjusting. Professors are adjusting. Um, this is kind of a new normal for a little while for us, and I think that we tend to get in this feeling that maybe everybody is figuring it out and we're not, and that's not the case at all. So if you have somebody that you can reach out to and see if maybe they can kind of be your crutch a little bit, it's very helpful. And a lot of us, we have known each other for a while, so get to know people around you, get to know people that are going on the same path as you or similar paths, and kind of hold each other accountable, and make sure you're checking on your friends, because this is definitely a crazy time for everyone.
It also kind of made me realize, because I applied to grad schools this summer and I didn't have, so my whole plan was to shadow physician's assistants this summer, and that was impossible. I couldn't find one person that wanted an extra body in the building, basically. So I know the pandemics generally for us don't happen, but it also made me realize that when I had the opportunity to do stuff, I needed to take it, because that was pretty much impossible this summer. So if you get shadowing opportunities, volunteer opportunities, anything like that, I would just say take it. Do it now.
Well, thank you everyone for saying and talking and just, helping me out in a way. I will definitely do what you guys recommended. I'll research some stuff, try and see, and also get, keep all my grades good and just go there. Thank you so much.
All right, do we have any more questions?
Can I say one more thing? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just popped into my head. You don't have to know everything right now. Even when I got accepted into the undergraduate program, I thought I was going to be starting a gym. I used to be a personal trainer, so that was what I thought. I was going to be a personal trainer. I was going to help people with their nutrition. That's what I was going to do. But things change and your interests change, and you see people that are doing what you thought you were going to do, and then you realize that is not the direction that you want to go. And that's normal. It does help having an idea of the direction that you're going, but even if you plan on going into the master's program, the beauty of the program is that you're going to experience a million different ways to work in nutrition. And things that you might think that you're really interested in may not be the direction you want to go. So keep an open mind and just know that you are not expected to have all the answers right now. You're not expected to know the direction you go right now. Just make sure that you're, like Jay said, make sure that you're taking every opportunity that you can to get these experiences so that you know, or at least have a better idea of what you are interested in and what you're not, because they will change so much and so quickly. If you have, there are people that go into do research and realize that is not what they wanted, and that happens all the time. So just make sure that you're keeping an open mind and taking every opportunity.
Yeah, that just reminded me something that I wanted to add on to that was I ended up graduating in 5 instead of 4 years because I didn't change my major until like going into my sophomore year. But honestly, that was probably the best thing that happened to me. I feel like a lot of people feel this pressure to graduate in 4 years, but in reality, that's not as realistic as it maybe was before. So really just taking your time. Don't feel like you have to have your major like confirmed this semester or this time. I would say throughout this year, like trying to, what do you call it? Talk to your advisor and figure out what you want to do and the route you want to go. But since you're already in nutrition science, like, and you're taking these science prereqs, you can even look at different programs that would take on those prereqs, and it's not like you will be delayed. Like for me, I went from criminal justice to nutrition science, so I was delayed because of my science courses. But if you're in the similar area, you might not be delayed, but it probably wouldn't be figured out like just in this semester. So don't give yourself too much of a deadline to figure it out, but it's kind of like take your time, but hurry up type of thing. So like, pacing yourself, but yeah.
Can I say something in response to Sierra's question? I know I'm not like on the panel, but yeah, so I'm a senior in the nutrition program, and I would say that some advice I would give to a freshman is to speak to Bella Andrews, undergraduate advisor for nutrition. When I was a freshman, I was just going to like the general Georgia State advisors, and I ended up having to go through another year because my schedule was just completely like not in alignment with what I needed for nutrition. So definitely talk to him.
That's really good advice because there are prereqs that we need in order to get accepted into the undergraduate program. So that's very good.
I have a question that's an administrative question, but Lena or Michaela, so normally we would do sign-ins for this meeting, but it's virtual.
Yeah, so actually I have been like taking pictures of the of the participant list so we can be sure to like note who's all attending the meetings, and we appreciate everyone who has signed in and taken time to listen to our graduates, and we really appreciate you all for being here.
Yes, thank you very much to everybody.
Can I add one thing? It's going to be sent out to our email later on, but for those who are graduating this semester or within the next semester, and you're considering getting a NSN cord, in order to be an active member, you must be coming to one of our meetings twice, 2 out of 4 meetings, right, Michaela? We've decided. So more information will be added on into the email I plan on sending out this week. So look out for that email if you are wanting to get a graduation cord from NSN.
Thank you, Justina. Do we have any more questions? Trying to check the chat box, make sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Well, if you don't have any more questions, we could go ahead and end the meeting right here. And we want to say a huge thank you to our panelists and everyone else who was able to answer questions today. Be on the lookout for our next meeting. You all will be receiving an email relatively soon. Our next meeting will be on October 7th, just so you guys can get the date in your minds. And we will be having another speaker, and we'll have another amazing meeting. So we want to say thank you all so much for being here today, and you all can sign out and get on to being the best student that you could possibly be. Online classes.
Thank you. Good luck, y'all. Have a good semester.
All right. Thank you all so much. Bye.